What if they had
anyway,
like at home STD tests? That would be too easy.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Do they? Because I thought it was like blood. I thought they had to do it through your blood. Well, some of them, I think. I don't know.
I don't
What do
fucking know. Anyway.
I don't know. Everybody go get tested. Sounds great.
Yes.
If you're active, go get tested. Even if you're not active, you probably should get tested because there's some bizarre things that can happen.
So are we starting? Is this how we're starting the episode?
I don't know. I can cut it, but I think it's a great PSA.
It's like the more you know.
Listen, Kurt would approve. Okay, Kurt would want you to get tested and stay healthy.
That is true. Kurt would want you to get tested and stay healthy. He would also be getting tested, and that he would be on a lot of penicillin because that boy gets around in different fucking universes. I mean, like, that cross time caper. He came back with something.
Listen, as long as in some universe I get to be with him, I'm good. Like,
listen, girl. Okay, ready? I'm gonna pull you an oracle card, a Marvel oracle card.
Oh wow, we're starting off with lots of things today. STIs and oracle cards.
So we're gonna see. Is Lauren gonna end up with Kurt in an alternate universe? All right. So let's see.
Oh no,
girl, this one jumped out. We're gonna turn it over. Oh my god, girl. It's the Rogan Gambit card. Let love in.
Let's go!
I feel like that there is nothing more clear than that. You are going to marry Kurt in an alternate universe.
I love
that. That is. I mean, this card literally jumped out. Everybody,
it made my whole day. That made my day, my week, my month, my year. That just made everything. Thank you, Rogan Gambit card.
The future Mrs. Wagner is right here. She is speaking to us right now. Everybody bow down. She is here and Rogue is his sister, so like there you go. I mean,
it's fate. It's just
in the family. There you go.
The two universes that exist are him and Wanda married, and then the one where I'm married to him.
Yes, I love it. Because I don't want to be married to him. I want him to marry Wanda, so that's fine. All right. See? Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Simply Amazing. I am Lisa, aka the OG Nocturne, and I am here with the fabulous, wonderful future Mrs. Wagner. Her name is Lauren. Tell them about yourself, girl.
Oh my god, hi. I am Lauren, your friendly neighborhood bi, and newlywed to Kurt Wagner, aka Nightcrawler. As you can tell by my wall back there, I really love my husband a lot. I may have a problem.
I mean, we both do. We've got lots of problems, but it's okay because we're going to talk about them. So it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I bought this Marvel Oracle deck, and I'm really excited about it. I've actually started doing readings on our Simply Amazing pod.
Yes.
Twitter. So if you have a question, the cards don't lie. So come and ask me a question, and I'll read you an oracle for it. But today we're not talking about that. We are talking about. We're finally getting back to the Nightcrawler series that we started like 500 years ago.
Yes! The Nightcrawler 2004 series.
Yeah, I had a Diplodocus a Dilophosaurus or whatever as a pet back when we started it. So it's been a long fucking time.
Yeah, I felt Lisa and I were talking, y'all, before we started recording, and we were planning on what eps to do and stuff, and we're like, oh my god, we still haven't finished Nightcrawler 2004. Like, people must be done with us. Like, they could have read this series themselves like 10 times at least if they wanted to. Like, you guys are so just like amazing for being so patient with us.
I mean, you are simply amazing.
Got him.
But to be fair, though, we did say that we were going to like cut in and out with other shit. So to be fair, but yeah, we're going to get back to it. We're going to do 7 episodes of issues 7 and 8 today, which is great because we did talk a little bit about this in a couple of the other episodes because we've talked a little bit about Kurt's backstory and some of we talked a lot about this with Lance about the inconsistencies in Kurt's backstory. And the beauty of this is this next arc, which is the final arc of this series, it's just all about Kurt's background. And it gives us a lot more context, a lot more information. And And the arc is called The Winding Way, which of course is
Of course.
the magic that his mother Margali uses.
Yes.
So we are going to get into all of this, but of course today we're only going to be focusing on 7 and 8. But I really like these issues. I mean, I like this whole book. It's really good. However, going back and rereading it, I am picking up on things that I didn't pick up on the first time, and we'll get to some of them. And I'm really excited to talk about some of them.
Yeah, I kind of I don't know if I want to go page by page, and maybe you want to, Lisa, but I kind of just want to talk about like a lot of the themes and the stuff around his origin that we see, because that's so much of these first 2 issues, right? There's obviously a plot going on as well that we're going to get to throughout this arc, like a current plot, but we see so much of just his background, both with Margali and then also Amanda, and then with his brother Steven, who, if you don't know, he ended up having to kill, which is a whole thing. So I think it's just interesting to see this take, because again, it's been a long time since I've read this series as well, and I forget Nightcrawler's origin a lot of time, to be honest. As much as I love him, I'm focused on the Kurt we know now, I guess, that sometimes it's easy for me to forget where he came from. But yeah, I'm interested to dig into like the origin and where he came from, and how the characters he interacted were in this version of his origin. And then also the issue with his lovers. That really caught me in issue 7. So I'm excited to dig in.
Okay. Well, we don't have to go page by page, obviously, but we'll start talking about just kind of where we start with it. And where we start is, first of all, we got the beard, ladies and gentlemen.
We got the beard.
I will say this is really, now he did kind of have a little bit of a soul patchy goatee thing going on in Excalibur. This, I will say, is the very first time we ever really saw Kurt with a beard. However, it's very unkempt because he's going crazy because he's sick and everything else. But he's basically he's wandering around the streets with long hair and an unkempt beard, walking into churches. He doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know what he's saying, and he doesn't understand what's happening. But it turns out that the reason for that is because he's having like these flashbacks of memories. He's getting beat up by a big group of people, like an angry mob. He sees Xavier again. He sees his mother, Mystique, and but none of it is actually real. It's all in his head because he's been attacked by Vermin, who is this stupid, I don't know who Vermin is, but whatever. But he's been attacked by this guy who's given him like these neurotoxins and is making him hallucinate all this stuff. So, and that's really what all of issue 7 is he's hallucinating all of this stuff that's happening to him. But we're reading it as if it's like actually happening. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, like kind of where his mind goes. He really does relive what he went through when he first comes to the X-Men, which was this whole, getting chased down by this mob and, getting attacked and, being beat up, and then Xavier coming and all that stuff. And then Mystique shows up and calls her mother.
Mystique's all in his head too, because that's his mama, who, she got some problems, guys. Just a few, though. Just a few. And what I like about this is that we get to see, that the original origin that we saw in Giant Size X-Men, we get to see that more fleshed out. But I think they did better here than they did with like in the X-Men origin issue that we covered. Where you and I kind of tore that up a little bit because what the hell was that? So I think they handled that much better here. And we do eventually see what's actually going on. Like, is he actually running around through these churches, like literally losing his mind in real time? And we kind of fairly quickly find out that that's not what's actually happening. He's not actively in real time running around in churches freaking out. There's some, crazier shit happening because, it's X-Men and it's Kurt.
Yeah, I want to point out one little thing going back and rereading this page with Mystique and Xavier is, so Xavier comes to him just like he did in the very beginning, when he first saves Kurt from the angry mob, and is like, I want to make you an offer. I want to help you. I want to help you. I want to save you from these men, right? That's Xavier's offer. Mystique's offer is, you have it within you the power to save yourself. Why aren't you doing it? And I kind of really like that dichotomy of, because Mystique, if there's one thing that Mystique is a survivor. She is somebody who Mystique does not need, even though Mystique enjoys having other people in her life, like obviously Destiny, she doesn't need another person in her life. Mystique could happily live her entire life by herself and take care of herself and do everything alone. Like, she is a loner. She's a lone wolf. And I think that's an important kind of distinction here, is that Xavier is somebody who's like, I've come here to solve your problems for you, and I'm going to bring you into the fold, and we together are going to work together to solve this. Whereas Mystique is like, you have everything you need to fix this. Like, you don't need anybody. Like, why would you, like, and I think, and in the end, what he ends up doing is he ends up solving it himself. He doesn't take Xavier up. He teleports out by himself and ends up in Germany.
Yeah, I really like to point that out. Because that is a really great point, because so often, like, Mystique's a villain and she's very problematic, like, she's Mystique, but here her survival skill that you said, right, of, hey, save yourself, it helped Kurt here, it saved him essentially. And I think it just proves that, it helps Mystique as a villain too, because she's not just a batshit crazy villain that's like, let me take over the world. She has, like, solid points of view at times that have, again, helped her to survive and are logical. And so basically my point is that, both what Xavier and her were saying have their own validity to it, but in the moment, Xavier's big, I have this dream and I can save you and all that, it wasn't helpful. So it's kind of interesting now, if you think about too, how just in the X-Men comics, how that this transition has come where we can see villains' point of views more, like how the X-villains, and we're starting to see characters like Charles Xavier be questioned. So even though this was written back in 2004, it's really cool to see that kind of start to get played around with by a writer.
So, okay, I'm going to say something that I feel like is very, as a cis white woman, is going to be a weird thing to say, but I feel like Mystique is a great analogy for this idea of like almost like a radicalization of a minority character over time. Like, when you see a lot of, I'm trying to find the best way to say it. It's like it's like a character who has faced oppression for so long that eventually it's just like, why am I still being fucking nice? Why am I still asking for this nicely? Why am I still trying to do this the nice way? Like, she's lived this life for over 100 years. And like, I'm sure in the beginning she tried. I'm sure in the beginning she tried to do it the nice way. I'm sure she tried to like do it the Charles Xavier way in the beginning. But she's been trying now for over 100. She's lived several lifetimes. And it's like, I know for a fact that they won't give it to me in one single lifetime. So why the fuck am I even going to be nice about it? And that's what I kind of see here too, is like, whereas Charles Xavier comes at it from we can all hold hands and sing Kumbaya and like live together happily. Mystique is like, no, you need to be in it for you. If you're not in it for you, if you're not looking out for you, then who the fuck is going to look out for you? And I'm with her on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, yeah, it was very interesting that, in the end, Kurt was just like, fine, I'm going to listen to her, even though she's my crazy mother and she has plenty of issues. She might actually be right here. She has a point. And so then, yeah, he does, teleport. But again, this is all in his head. So it wasn't actually life or death, but he very much thought it was. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, of course.
Is what he thought was actually happening.
So now we've moved on to Germany, and I want to point out that the first thing he sees in Germany is a horse, and it's a black horse. And I looked at the symbolism of what seeing a black horse in your dream means, and it's kind of funny because like there's so many contradicting things about seeing a black horse. One of them's like, it's good luck, and one of them's like, you're gonna die. Right. But the one that I kind of honed into that I thought was kind of made the most sense here is that a black horse symbolizes the ability to overcome obstacles and come out on the other side. I mean, I think part of seeing the horse, it also has to do with like him. He was in a circus, and horses are circus animals. So I don't think it's unreasonable that, he would have had had horses in his circus at the time, or there would be horses in Germany. But I think that it's not off that they chose a black horse to be what leads him to his next, what he sees next.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's definitely a ton of symbolism, particularly in the the 7th issue. And like I said, I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on before we get to where we see the X-Men trying to bring him back to the actual present, essentially. But there's quite a few things going on there. Like he ends up, I think, finding a chest or something. Like it's a whole thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. So basically, he kind of. So he kind of does that old, they say like before you die, you relive your life. And that's kind of what's happening here. He finds King Arthur's sword, and which is called Excalibur. And his brother encourages him to take it. And then when he tries to take it, he looks behind him and he sees the team Excalibur, who also encourages him to take it. And the sword will come back later because it turns out that Kurt's got some connections to another sword that he doesn't even realize, but we'll find out about it later. And then when he does take it, he finds out that, there's some lady trouble in the background because, there's these 3 women that are involved in this specifically because there's a lot of other women. There's a lot of other women, right? Because, and it's kind of funny because in 2004, I personally would not consider Storm to be relevant as far as one of Kurt's love interests anymore. But in 2004, she was. So it's kind of interesting that these are the 3 women, but you have Christine Palmer, you have Storm, and you have Amanda as like these 3 women who are like, hey, which one of us are you going to choose? And then, he gets fitted out in his best, Jack Sparrow realness because it's 2004. And, that was like the biggest fucking thing at the time was Jack Sparrow. And those 3 ladies turn into the 3 fates of Greek mythology.
Yes. Before we finish that up, I wanted to talk about, I think, some of the narration next to them. And so I think there's some narration with Amanda Sefton that had me like hollering a bit, where it said something about, is she your stepsister or is she your girlfriend or is she both? You got to fucking figure it out, Kerr. So I was like, that's like the entire fandom, like everybody being like, fucking pick a lane, guys. Like Marvel, Kerr, y'all gotta pick a lane with this one.
Listen, like Claremont doesn't even know, and he wrote it. So like, y'all heard my story. So like, I mean, nobody knows. So by the time we get to this, I mean, he's got this sentinel that's coming after him, which is supposed to kill him. He's diving deep into the water. And this is where we find out that this is all actually a dream. And he's on this table in the infirmary, and Hank, Nurse Annie, Emma, and Bobby are working on him to try and like get his temperature down. And, he's just in a bad way. But we also see somebody has a little Nightcrawler voodoo doll. Right. Holding over the flame. Girl, what's going on? But he just so happens to get down to this little treasure chest, and he's like, what's in there? But as he's like about to open it, Emma shows up and is like, all right, bitch, we're done with this. You're coming with me.
Yeah. And he's still like, but, and she's all like, absolutely not. Get over here, child. I've got things to do.
I know. I love it because it feels very like a mother and son, where he's like, but the box. And she's like, no, come, we're done here. He's like, but the box, I need to see what's in the box. And she's like, nope, we're done here. We're done. And she ends up like basically like pulling him out of his mind. And like at the end, she basically says like, she did it purposefully. She's like, there's something down there that he really just doesn't need to know about. So that's kind of how we wrap up issue 7 before we get into issue 8, which I liked because it goes much more into his history and the circus. And all that kind of stuff. And I just want to say, like, I love the covers as well, because the covers have all this, like, the circus imagery, the tarot imagery. I'm a big tarot person. I love tarot. I mean, obviously, because I got my, like, Marvel Oracle deck. And again, like, seriously, send me questions. I will read your Oracle. I mean, clearly, Lauren's going to be married to Nightcrawler now. So
it's fate. It is happening. I am so excited. I have to pick out my outfit. Lisa, next time I come visit, we're going shopping.
Seriously. I mean, I have extra outfits because I bought, like, 4 outfits for my brother's wedding. And because I can't figure out what I'm going to wear. So you can have one of them. But I just love all the tarot and everything on there is so good. And it's so, oh my God, I just noticed that Derek Robertson drew himself. Oh my God, that's so cute. All right. Anyway, So we're going to pick up where we left off, and it turns out that they're interrogating Vermin, who and
Is
Beast
Vermin.
gets all exactly, who the fuck is Vermin? And Beast gets all bad cop on him, and Emma clucks him immediately as like, oh my god, what a fucking drama queen, like enough, Henry, enough, But it turns out Vermin has no idea why he attacked her. Like, someone else is pulling the strings here. Someone else is controlling what's going on. But who?
But who? Who are you?
Dun dun dun. So how are we going to figure this out? I don't know. Let's take a trip to Germany.
Obviously, that is obviously the first step.
Yes. So they're going to take a trip to Germany on okay, it's just, oh my god. So Kurt brings Logan, and
Of
Christine insists on coming as well.
Yeah, two of his lovers, obviously.
I mean, I just love. We don't find out that Christine insisted until like halfway through the issue, but like by the end of the issue, it changes so many things for me. I'm like, girl, you gotta stop. You just gotta stop. Like, I mean, first of all, Kurt, you should fuck her and just be done with it. Like, enough. Like, this just pining is just will they, won't they? Like, enough. I'm just, ugh. But yeah, they get to Germany, and we get some cute little flashbacks of Margali and Kurt when he was a baby and learning to walk. And they kind of insinuate there was some jealousy from Stefan from the beginning.
Yeah, because she's like, you're my sweet, like, perfect or favorite or something boy. And Steven's like watching, and you can kind of tell he is very not happy about that.
Yeah, I don't really love that because I don't know. I mean, it's because they're very close, but we do see their closeness later on in the issue. So it's interesting. It's kind of, I guess, sowing this like seed of discord between them from an early age.
I mean, well, I think too, like you can be super close to your siblings, and especially when you're younger, still have moments like that where you're like get upset or jealous or something like that. Like I have an older sibling that I grew up with, my older brother, and I mean, there were still moments where like we were pretty close, but there were definitely moments where like we had awkward stuff like that happen where either he got something that I won and I didn't get it, or, so I think, so to your point, like, I appreciate that. I kind of got that weird feeling too when I saw that. I was like, oh, what? But then as the issue continues, you do see that despite that, and despite these other underlying tones that are going to be relevant, they're still super close. And Steven still does love and care about Kurt. So I appreciate that.
You know what? And you make a really good point just about like the sibling dynamic, because so like Stefan's the oldest child, Kurt's the youngest child. And like when I was growing up, I was the oldest. My sister was the youngest. And there was definitely a big difference in how my parents treated me and my sister, right? Like things were much stricter for me. I was the first. So it was like things were a little bit stricter. And yeah. So that's, I think that could be part of it too, where it's like, you got the third kid and it's the youngest, and it's just like, you're done. You know what I mean? You're done arguing. You're done making rules. It's just like, what the fuck ever. Let this blue kid do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've talked about that with my parents, especially my mom, because she was, the main parent around when I was a child. But yeah, of the whole like, okay, why the fuck can they do this? And I couldn't. Like, I couldn't say fart as a kid, but my siblings are saying fuck and shit and damn. It's wild.
Yeah. Although, let me tell you, I once convinced my mom and dad to take us all out to the movies. And okay, this is going to sound weird, but so my mother was the queen of, we used to sneak into a second movie after the first movie, like a family night. So we do like the double feature. So we go to the first movie and then we sneak into the second one. And I convinced my family and my sister, I was like 14. So my sister couldn't have been older than like 8 at the most. And I convinced my whole family to sneak in to see the full Monty. I think that I think that changed my sister. Like it was full frontal male nudity. and I think that changed my whole family. It was very interesting. Anyway.
Talking about trauma bonding.
Oh my God. Yeah. The other funny thing was we went as a family to see Sweeney Todd, and my brother was like, what the fuck? This is a musical? So that was another fun moment. So yeah, so now they're all sitting, Logan whatever, they're meeting. So Christine is trying so hard to get close to him, and he's like so at an arm's length, and it's just like, God damn it, buddy. He goes back in time. He's reminiscing. He's thinking about, his time with Stefan. He shows him how he teleports. Stefan shows him how Margali is, a sorceress, and she's been practicing, by day, she's a fortune teller and she'll read your fortune and do all that kind of stuff. And by night, she's like practicing sorcery and witchcraft and all that stuff, which is like, I mean, hello, no wonder he fucking falls in love with Wanda and has a kid with her. Like,
right.
This is the shit he was raised with. And, Stefan kind of talks about how, this is like part of his lineage, like this sorcery and stuff. And he's afraid of how it might kind of corrupt him and, maybe Jermaine as well. And I kind of love how Kurt's like, never, Jermaine, never your sister. And it's like, oh, I mean, dude, like, you could also be like, not you, Stefan. Like, but Stefan basically makes him promise that if he ever did anything, that Kurt would stop him. Like, no matter what it takes. Which,
yes.
Going back to, when Kurt, eventually murders him, it's obviously not intentional, and it's not what he, and Margali, of course, famously has this huge, the first term that came to my mind, and this is so embarrassing, is hate boner. I literally was like, Margali had this huge hate boner for him. Oh my God, where is my
That's
mind?
A oof. That's a oof.
That is such an oof. I've been watching so much Real Housewives, and I don't even know that's not even a part of it. So Margali has this huge like chip on her shoulder about this death because she doesn't understand what happened, but the reason is because Stefan put Kurt up to this because he asks him to make this promise that he would stop him no matter what. And of course, I mean, Kurt sees him killing children. He has to stop him, and he accidentally kills him. Eventually, we haven't gotten there yet. But, then we move on, and, Kurt and Christine are sharing a tent, and Logan has his own tent. And we see a little interaction between Jermaine and Kurt. I like the detail that Jermaine's costume is Kurt's costume, like his Nightcrawler costume, because like that's kind of a little thing that they've always kind of insinuated in the comics, was that his costume is his circus costume that he brought over to the X-Men. So I love that.
Yes.
And then as she's doing her act, Stefan is kind of being really awful to Kurt. He's saying some really awful things about like how he's a monster and all this like stuff.
Yeah, right.
And then the rope snaps, she starts to fall, and then Kurt bamfs in to save her, and they end up kissing, which it all seems like a weird thing. It's like, did this happen? And it turns out, no, actually it didn't really happen. It was all just a weird dream that he had.
It's just a dream.
Yeah. Which all makes more sense because it's like that whole interaction with Stefan, I don't like it. And it makes sense that it would all be part of this weird dream. And of course, at the end of the dream, everybody's dead except for him and Jermaine. So, then, what's her face? Christine wakes up, finds that Kurt hasn't even slept. Like he's not even in the bed or in his sleeping bag. And this is my favorite moment in the entire issue. Is Logan walks up, says, "There a problem, honey?"
Which was fantastic. I think any Logurt fan should really enjoy that, especially.
I know, because I'm like, who is he referring to? Because then he says elf on the next page. I'm like, who is honey? Who's honey? Who is he referring to? Because again, Christine mentions that. So Kurt definitely asked Logan to come with him. I refuse to, or Logan maybe insisted he come. I can't remember. Logan probably insisted he come. Kurt probably would have wanted to come alone. But then Christine also insisted, like, this could have been like a little romantic boys jaunt. And now they're being cock blocked by Christine Palmer. I don't know. But I just love that. Is there a problem, honey? I feel like it was put in there to like purposefully be vague as to who he's talking to. And I love it.
I would agree.
So that's for you Logurt fans out there. Congratulations. You got something.
I loved it. Yeah, I was the same way. I was like, was he talking to Christine or Kurt? Or was he just saying that? I feel like that's a fun little Easter egg. I'd love to talk to Akira Sakasa about like that part that he wrote and like
Oh yeah.
why that was there.
Oh yeah, totally. I think it's totally there for on purpose. It's supposed to fuck with us. Just like how that cover of Wolverine is there to fuck with us. Like it's all there to fuck with us.
That's just comics in general. They're here to fuck with us.
Yeah. And I love how like we get reminders that Christine is like not one of them. Like she's not an X-Man, where she's like, "What do you mean smelling? Oh, that's right, you're Wolverine. I forgot that you smell shit."
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, and then Wolverine smells lots of blood and flames, and as they get closer to the circus, Kurt like starts feeling weird, and then oh shit, the circus is on fire, and that is the end of issue 8.
That's it. That's
That's
the
the
whole
end.
issue. I gotta
That is
say,
it.
I think I enjoyed the 7th issue a little bit more, but the 8th one still is super important. And I totally understand why you probably might enjoy that one more than I do, Lisa, because
Mhm.
it has so much to do with Margali and Steven and such. But either way, yeah, I really like that we're seeing Nightcrawler's origin more and not in a like garbage way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it gets a little bit less. It gets less nice the next couple issues because we get into some darker themes, uh, but yeah, I like it. I like going back in time. I like seeing his past. He's a character that is so unique and different that it's interesting to see how he grew up because he's been mutated since he was a child. He was born. So it's interesting to see how he grew up and what he grew up around and how people treated him as a kid growing up. I want to see those kinds of things.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm into it. We're gonna keep going on. I'm pulling a card. Okay. Oh shit, this one
it's card time.
It's card time. I'm pulling a card. Okay, so are we going to cover this next week? Are we going to do this next week, or are we going to do something else? Let's see.
Let's find out.
Oh, it's the inverted Ronan the Accuser.
What does that mean?
Let it all burn. So it's inverted, which means it's the opposite of it. So we're going to not let it burn. We're going to do something. I don't know. Fuck, I don't know.
Watch, I say we defy the card. Let's defy Ronan. Ronan can suck it. We're doing it next week.
I accuse you.
You thought you could accuse us? How dare you? That's not simply amazing of you, Ronan.
I accuse you, Ronan. Actually, I should probably read this and figure out what some of these cards actually mean. Let me see. Ronan the Accuser. Let's take a look at this really quickly. Oh, there he is, Ronan the Accuser. He is accustomed to having the final say, and he is infusing your reading with that energy. You may be seeking a way out, but don't lose sight of the fact that not all endings are good endings. Dun dun dun! And this was not a good ending because the circus is on fire.
Come on!
I mean, guys, the cards don't lie.
The cards, sadly, and sometimes joyfully, don't lie.
They don't. Sometimes your circus is on fire, and sometimes you marry Nightcrawler.
And I'm so lucky. I'm just so lucky and honored. Thank you, Rogue. Thank you, Gambit. Your words mean the word. Thank you for your blessings.
Yes, you get to marry Nightcrawler. I'll marry Andrew Garfield.
No!
Hey! What?
We're casting him as Nightcrawler. I get both.
Oh, excuse me.
You don't know what? Wait, no, pull a card. Pull a card. Will I marry the Nightcrawler that's played by Andrew Garfield in another universe?
You already got. No, I'm pulling a card for me. Will I marry Andrew Garfield? That's what I'm gonna do. All right, I'm pulling a card for me. Will I marry? I got Rogan Gambit.
Damn, I can't argue with that. The cards don't lie. I can't argue it. Sold.
That was amazing. I love it. Oh my god.
So I get to marry
Kurt,
and you get Andrew Garfield. It's sold.
Perfect.
It's a law.
Perfect. You get to marry Kurt in a different universe where he's somebody else. There you go.
Great, Lisa. You're just thrilled.
Whatever. Okay, listen. You picked Kurt. I picked Andrew Garfield. Okay, listen. Okay,
it's true. It's
right,
true. All is fair in love and simply amazing cards.
That's it. Exactly. And if you want your cards read, they don't lie. Come to our Twitter. Come find us. Simply Amazing Pod at Simply Amazing Pod on Twitter. We do lots of fun stuff on there. We do giveaways sometimes. We'll read your Magic of Marvel Oracle card. I did a reading for Gail Simone. She hasn't seen it yet, but she'll see it eventually, I'm sure.
I'm sure she will.
And yeah, whatever. And you can find all of our other socials, of course, at simplyamazingpod.com. We do all of our stuff there. Lots of fun. Lauren, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at friendlymBHDBI. If you care about indie comics or whatever, you can also follow the other show I do's channel at MBHD Comic Show. Lisa likes to make appearances every now and then. It's always a great time to have her there too. So you might as well subscribe because you'll get more Simply Amazing stuff there too.
Yes. I should do an appearance soon. We should figure something out. We should do something.
100%.
Yeah, we should do something. That'd be fun. And so again, simplyamazingpod.com. That's where you find all of our stuff. So come find us, subscribe us, love us, like us. Tell us what you want to do with us. We don't care. We're freaks. We'll do whatever you want. That's fine.
No, Lisa.
And if you are out there wondering if that guy who's taking you to Germany with his best friend really likes you, girl, come. We'll pull a card for you. But I have bad news. It's not looking good. But don't worry, because you're simply amazing.